Let me get across to the swearing-in ceremony currently in Gujarat of the cabinet ministers under Bhupendra Patel, the new chief minister. Here are the visuals, live visuals coming in of oath-taking ceremony of the Gujarat cabinet. Remember, Bhupendra Patel now will be leading the BJP for 2022 polls. In fact, the party is gearing up to face elections with a new chief minister and a new cabinet. This is the time that a lot of of course, a lot of the BJP members, the MLAs, are hoping to find a cabinet post. Many of them have been given plum posts, is what we hear, many of the dissidents. Now, almost all Rupani-era minister, Vijay Rupani's time, his cabinet, almost all of them have been dropped. Fresh faces now to be inducted in this cabinet. Here are the live visuals coming in of the oath-taking ceremony of Bhupendra Patel's new cabinet.
श्री जितेंद्र भाई सवजी भाई वाघानी, श्री ऋषिकेश भाई गणेश भाई पटेल, श्री पूर्णेश कुमार ईश्वरलाल मोदी, श्री राघव जी भाई हंसराज पटेल।
सौगंध लऊं छूं के कायदाથી સ્થાપિત ભારતના સંવિધાન પ્રત્યે હું સાચી રાઘવજી હંસરાજભાઈ પટેલ ઈશ્વરને નામે સોગંદ લઉં છું કે કાયદાથી સ્થાપિત ભારતના સંવિધાન પ્રત્યે હું સાચી શ્રદ્ધા અને નિષ્ઠા ધરાવીશ। હું ભારતના સાર્વભૌમત્વનું અને અખંડતાનું સમર્થન કરીશ અને હું ગુજરાત રાજ્યના મંત્રી તરીકેના મારા કર્તવ્યો શ્રદ્ધાપૂર્વક અને અંતઃકરણપૂર્વક બજાવીશ અને ભય કે પક્ષપાત રાગ કે દ્વેષ વિના તમામ લોકો સાથે સંવિધાન અને કાયદા અનુસાર ન્યાયપૂર્વક વર્તીશ।
હું રાજેન્દ્ર સૂર્યપ્રસાદ ત્રિવેદી,
હું જીતેન્દ્રભાઈ સૌજીભાઈ વાઘાણી,
હું ઋષિકેશ ગણેશભાઈ પટેલ,
હું પૂર્ણેશ કુમાર ઈશ્વરલાલ મોદી,
હું રાઘવજી હંસરાજભાઈ પટેલ
ઈશ્વરને નામે સોગંદ લઉં છું કે
ઈશ્વરના નામે સોગંદ લઉં છું કે
હું ગુજરાત રાજ્યના મંત્રી તરીકે જે કોઈ બાબત મારી વિચારણા માટે લાવવામાં આવશે અથવા મારા જાણવામાં આવશે તેની જાણ એવા મંત્રી તરીકેના મારા કર્તવ્યોના યોગ્ય પાલન માટે આવશ્યક હોય તે સિવાય પ્રત્યક્ષ કે પરોક્ષ રીતે કોઈ પણ વ્યક્તિ અથવા વ્યક્તિઓને કરીશ નહીં અથવા તેની કે તેમની આગળ તેને પ્રકટ કરીશ નહીં।
the Gujarat governor who has just initiated the process of the oath-taking of a bunch of the cabinet ministers. Remember, we're looking at Bhupendra Patel's new cabinet, which will be dropping most of the Vijay Rupani era ministers. In fact, many new faces have now been inducted into the cabinet with quite a fresh zeal and enthusiasm. It appears that the BJP wants to be leading the party into 2022 polls. A lot of the animosity among top leaders there, including Deputy Nitin Patel, Education Minister Bhupendra Singh Chaudhasama. These are people who were hoping for a plum post. Of course, it doesn't appear that their aspirations have been catered to, but nonetheless, a new flock that's now been brought together only to ensure that the BJP has all the enthusiasm before entering to polls the following year. Let me cut across to Rahul Srivastava joining us for more on that. Rahul, here's the oath-taking ceremony, the first cabinet reshuffle or a rejig, a fresh cabinet itself. Many old names have been dropped. Bhupendra Patel now forming his new cabinet to take the party for 2022 polls. What's really the animosity among the senior rung of leaders who feel sidelined this time?
On the day Mr. Bhupendra Patel was picked up as the chief ministerial candidate who will be replacing Mr. Rupani, it seemed like it was a change in the chief minister, basically because the BJP wanted to give its government a new direction and a complete attempt to remove anti-incumbency. But now it's very clear that it is not just a narrow exercise like that. It is eventually looking like a complete cleansing. It's a complete overhaul that the BJP has gone in for. It is unprecedented in the annals of India's political history that something like this is happening, that a 27-member cabinet council of ministers had resigned, and now you have virtually almost everyone who is a new face. Now it's a very clear exercise in terms of eyeing the next vote, because if you see the larger composition of ministers which is likely to be sworn in, there are more Patels. There is a chief minister who is a Patel, Karwa Patel. 8 of the ministers likely to be sworn in are Patels. There are Kshatriyas, there are OBCs, which are the second largest number. There are STs, which are going to be brought in because the tribal vote is very critical for the BJP. Now, as far as the vote share is concerned, it is interesting that the BJP is looking the number of representation as per the caste numbers, because the Patidars are 20%, the tribals are 19%. So you have more Patels and more tribals being given ministerial berths in the Council of Ministers.
Right, here we see 27 ministers have been inducted in Bhupendra Patel's cabinet. What's the composition really like? Many new faces have come into the cabinet this time. Many old faces, especially the ones who were during Vijay Rupani's era, they've very strategically been dropped. Do you think this is really going to, almost instigate a fresh controversy or some kind of, really many of them being upset right ahead of polls, which Gujarat really is wanting to take away this time? Do you think this will be a burden for Bhupendra Patel or an asset?
Nabila, one thing is there, that the BJP suffered has been in power for 25 odd years. It definitely suffers anti-incumbency. What Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah have eventually done in Gujarat, I will say, is unprecedented. What it has done is that there are no political survivors who are being allowed to stay in power. You have been ministers who have been too long in power. Somebody as powerful as Nitin Patel, the Deputy Chief Minister, if he doesn't find space in the Council of Ministers, it's a signal that you're not just going to survive. The government has been given new legs. The government has been given new faces. These new people will have to fight for their place. And in the remaining 1 year, 1.5 years for the election in Gujarat, what we are going to see is that the BJP is going to have a new look. It also indicates one confidence the top BJP has. The confidence that those who have been removed, they may be disgruntled, they may be unhappy, but there is no likelihood of a rebellion, because in BJP in Gujarat, there has been a tradition that whosoever has left the BJP, be it somebody as tall as Keshubhai Patel or Shankar Singh Waghela, once they step out of the BJP, they do not survive politically. And that's the confidence the BJP and Narendra Modi have. And Narendra Modi stamping his authority on Gujarat, his home state, unlike UP, the adopted state, in their home state, he's saying that I am the boss. And if the election is going to be fought in my name and the BJP central leadership's name, eventually the face is going to be me, and there is going to be an absolutely new look BJP. This is also a warning to the sitting MLAs of the BJP that if virtually the entire Council of Ministers can be changed, a lot of sitting MLAs facing anti-incumbency are likely to be dropped once the elections are here.
Well, Rahul, we're barely looking at another year ahead of polls that this entire reshuffle has taken place. How is this really going to benefit the BJP on ground? Barely a year that they're going to be holding cabinet positions. They've already received a lot of flack owing to COVID-19 mismanagement. This is the allegations made by people on ground, the opposition extensively. And then, of course, anti-incumbency. Here, we know that Bhupendra Patel is trying to bring out or come together with fresh faces. And this is, of course, the party high command's decision. But do you think that will really reflect with the electorate? Are they going to really welcome the kind of new faces that we see?
You see, the public wants work to be done. If there was a resentment in the public due to the work not done by somebody like Vijay Rupani and his Council of Ministers, and then the ministers didn't perform, the government didn't perform during the COVID-19 two phases, what better than actually punishing them by removing all of them from the Council of Ministers? So what Narendra Modi has given a signal to the new ministers that perform or perish, but the signal has gone to the public that these men who were in the Council of Ministers didn't deliver in Narendra Modi's home state, and that is why all of them are out. It's a very strong signal sent to the public and voters of Gujarat that those who do not perform are mere political survivors, will perish when Narendra Modi feels that there is a need to do that.
Well, do stay with us, Rahul. We have some big news coming in right here, which we're breaking right here on India Today, ahead of the Gujarat cabinet swearing in. Signs of rebellion within Gujarat. BJP already erupting. Mansukh Wasava, BJP MP from Bharuch, that seat, in fact, he's now tweeted saying that there will be a lot of resentment among people for not including any MLA from Bharuch in the state cabinet. This is exactly the words that he's tweeted ahead of Gujarat cabinet swearing in. Signs of rebellion now coming to fore. Rahul, we already see Gujarat BJP unit, many of them showing some kind of dissent. And we see Mansukh Wasava, he's put out a tweet where he says that there will be a lot of resentment among people for not including any MLA from the Bharuch constituency within the state cabinet. What exactly do you think this is going to be? This really indicates what kind of hurdle will it pose for Bhupendra Patel?
You see, I will say that the BJP right now, top brass, has factored in that there might be voices of resentment or unhappiness over the measures which have been taken to reshape the government in Gujarat. But the fact is that the BJP is also confident that these are minor irritants which will come up, and this is not going to impact the fortunes of the BJP. The BJP has carried out, I have spoken to several top leaders, it has carried out a cost-benefit analysis in Gujarat that it feels that changing the entire Council of Ministers and the Chief Minister is going to bring more dividend than the noises, minor noises on the ground. What the Bharuch member MLA is saying, that nobody has found representation from Bharuch. That is perhaps an attempt to calm down the tempers in his own constituency instead of being a strong voice against the BJP. The BJP is confident that all these noises of dissent will calm down once the government starts moving, and eventually the signal to the voters that if the government of Vijay Rupani and his ministers didn't deliver, they have been punished, they have been removed from power.
Well, Rahul, do stay with us. We're going to continue tracking these developments. We're looking at a bunch of the new faces who are going to be taking oath under Bhupendra Patel as part of his new cabinet. India Today continues tracking all those developments coming in from Gujarat. But for now, it's a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.